Hello. So, now finally the NES Classic Mini has been released, and the question is it good? Is it worth it? Should you pay 500 euros or a bit less on eBay to get one before Christmas? Because as we all know, it's hard to get by, and people are selling it actually on eBay for extremely ridiculous prices. So is it worth it? Well, we will see. Anyway, personally, I wouldn't spend that money and being overpriced. I think it's a lot better to actually wait till Nintendo releases more batches of this console to the market, and then you can actually get it for the 70 euros that it's originally costing. Well, that's my opinion first. Anyway, as what games are included and how well the games are presented, you saw that at the beginning in my music video, I would say. We actually have chosen to record some games and to show you a bit of a gameplay experience there. So, which games are included? Yes, 30 games are included. Those games are Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2 The Revenge, Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, Final Fantasy, Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Bros, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Garden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. That's interesting because some versions of that game actually were released featuring Mike Tyson, but not this one. This one has Mr. Dream. Star Tropic, Super C, Super Mario Bros. That's the arcade game, not the jump and run, just to make sure. So that's the difference between Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. Then Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. That are the 30 games that are in the console. And the question is, how well is the emulation of the games? Yes, the emulation is pretty close to the original, even that close that games would slow down if there are too many sprites on the screen and there's too much happening, and original NES wouldn't be able to catch up, and that's the case with the emulation too. So anyway, I thought it looked pretty good on my TFT TV, and I personally didn't use the scanline and retro original look mode. I have to say I'm pretty much fine with the result that I have with the default settings. One thing that is pretty neat is you can actually have save games on the games, which is not really necessary on some games since they have a password continue option. But anyway, it's good because you can actually return on that exact status that you had when you left the game. That's pretty neat so far. One thing that a lot of reviews on the internet complained about is the short cord on the retro NES controller. Well, and that is basically because you are supposed to have this machine on your desk, and it's really small enough and handy enough. And that is because you constantly have to press the reset button to actually switch to another game. Now the question is, if it's worth it, these 70 euros? And I would personally say yes. Well, when NES clones were released in the past, you generally had good experiences, but you would still notice slight differences between the originals. So-called NES no-egg devices became pretty widespread, especially since Nintendo was quoted to have not the copyright anymore because they didn't refresh the copyright. So no-egg devices, NES on a chip devices, actually flooded the market. For example, the Mega Drive from AT Games that was released in 2010 was actually re-released for Christmas this year, as you actually could see in the video that included an interview with me of German television CDF program Heute Plus. And yeah, and the thing is, other NES clones, they are not really that pretty good. Well, but it's not so bad either. I mean, there are things like the next gen from Steyr that doesn't play Castlevania 3, and Castlevania 3 is known to not work on some NOAC devices. So that's pretty common. Other things that usually don't work on clones are Tengen game releases like Afterburner, but those are not part of the console. So anyway, how about the mix of the games? Are the games good? Well, surprisingly, there are good games in almost all genres. Not only games like Dr. Mario and Pac-Man that everybody knows, or Super Mario Bros., but also things like Double Dragon 2 in the beat-em-up action game area that I really liked. It's one of my favorite NES games. And Zelda, of course, is cool. Zelda, everybody likes Zelda. And Mega Man 2, amazing, very good. And I always have been a fan of Kirby's Adventure, so that's pretty good. Ghosts and Goblins is a good game and a very famous one. And you could also see that Gradius is included. That's pretty neat. And Gradius, you could see in the video, I'm not very good at Gradius, so too bad. Anyway, it's nice to see Castlevania inside, and Castlevania 2, it's always good to have that in. And Bubble Bobble, I played that in my childhood a lot with my family, so great. Yeah, you know, so the section is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, you know. So nice. So why not? Why not? It's pretty neat. All right. So should you get one? Well, if you have an original NES and you're fine with it, well, why not keeping it? Do you need an NES Classic Mini? Well, if you are a collector and you really want something that's staying there forever, it's not bad. Yeah, it has an HDMI port, and that's really something that a lot of people said it's positive. Personally, you see other consoles being re-released as composite AV signal ones, and I have to admit, don't really care so much. I mean, if you have a good monitor or a good TV rather, then you should have some options to, well, to blurry the picture so it doesn't look as bad compared to a CRT screen. But well, personally, you're getting used to it. And you know, you have the problems with HDMI like HDCP, you know, HD content protection. So it's not really something I really need in a retro console, so to speak. Which is pretty sad, by the way, that you cannot really expand it because it's a closed system. But hey, you know what you're getting for the money. And there are certainly better games in that re-release than you find in many other games, or rather say game consoles that are clones and only have games inside. So well done here, you know. I first thought, okay, the DTV is already good, but the collection of games here in that release for the NES, it's even better than the DTV for the Commodore 64. So hey, really great. Really surprised me to see some games on the list. So my final conclusion is, it's really nice, it's really worth it. Like, have some patience, because it might be that there are some delays in jumping, for example in Mega Man 2, and you really can't use it for competitive playing like Donkey Kong. As you know, we had interviews with the world record holders of the Donkey Kong thing on the arcade, and you really need precise reactions and coordination to the second to actually beat the game and making a high score. But that is not possible on this thing. But for the casual gamer, occasional one that really wants to remember the good old times, and he will not notice the difference between the original NES that he remembers and the actual picture and the actual experience, because it's pretty damn close. You are not saying, what's that? Or the sound sounds strange. No, it's pretty close, so here you go. Pretty neat. Thank you. Bye bye.